Hi, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us as we transitioned over from the screening to our panel discussion. I'm Carrie Wardle. I'm the Education Manager here at Idaho Public Television. And before I introduce our panel guests, I just want to remind you that you guys can type your questions into the comments or the questions or comments that you have into the little chat box on the side. It's at the right of the screen, and we'll do our best to answer them during this conversation. So I want to take this opportunity to introduce to you our panelists. We have with us Grace Ruddy. She is a preschool teacher at Hawthorne Elementary School in Boise, and she is the PBS Early Learning Champion for Idaho. She's awesome. She's one of 10 early learning champions across the state. And then we have also Joan Cartan Hansen, who is the writer and producer of one of our award-winning productions called Science Trek. And if you haven't heard of that, there were some links in the chat on OV. We'll send out an email with links after. It's an amazing show. So we're gonna have a little bit of a discussion about science and inquiry, and we really want this to be interactive. So do please type questions or comments or things like that in the chat. One of the great things about Eleanor Wonders Why is that it's all about inquiry and inquiry-based learning and science. And so Grace, can you tell us what inquiry-based learning is?
Well, inquiry-based learning is when we ignite the curiosity, a child's curiosity, and then follow it where that goes. So we see that they're curious, or we invite them to be curious, and then we guide them and we help them to discover answers, how to solve a problem, or search for solutions. And there are all sorts of ways that children can do that, but it really starts with that spark of curiosity.
I loved a couple of things that you said in there. One was that we encourage curiosity. And I know that sometimes, as a mom of a 6-year-old myself, sometimes I don't need to encourage his curiosity because he asks why all the time.
Yeah.
But I also really loved that you said we help them follow that through and find the answers, as opposed to just giving them the answers. Mm-hmm. So I really loved that. Joan, why do you think it's important that we encourage curiosity? That's what, Grace talked about, encouraging that curiosity in our kids. Why is that an important thing to do?
Well, curiosity is the foundation of all learning. So, I mean, if you're curious enough to open up a book and learn something and learn to read and stuff like that, or curious about numbers as you count like the plates at the dining room table, or the number of flowers in the front yard, all of those are foundations. So we really want to encourage kids to be curious and take that next step to learning, because curiosity is learning, and it's the foundation for everything.
And that's the exciting part, is when they get to discover something and then get excited about it again.
I love that. And I loved, Joan, that you mentioned something as just as simple as counting the plates as you put them on the dinner table, right? Like those are, and when they were talking about the fruit at the in the fruit stand, and talking about the colors and the texture, and it doesn't, sometimes I think that we think to foster inquiry or science, we have to do these wonderful, like amazing science projects, and but it can be something as simple as how many people are at our house, how many plates do we need, and letting your kids, count those out and explore those things.
Yeah, science. Yeah, science. People say I'm really intimidated by science, but no, yeah. Science is everything. It's all around us. It affects every bit of our lives, and it doesn't have to be something that's intimidating. In fact, it shouldn't be. Obviously, you get into astrophysics, that gets a little more intimidating. But we all look at the stars, and that's what astrophysicists do. So we all can take part in science and understand how it works, because it's everything and everywhere. So get excited about science. It's cool.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that the intimidation comes from that thought that it has to be this major thing, right? When we
No,
talk
you
about
know,
science,
cooking is science.
right?
You
Right.
know, it's all, everything you do as you walk around, eating, digesting is science. So,
I
you
love
know,
that. Nice. So I can eat and I'm doing a
you can
science
eat.
project. That's
And
amazing.
chocolate, I encourage chocolate, you know, in moderate amounts. Yeah.
I love that. So Grace, you're a preschool teacher. And so how do we use inquiry skills with kids? How do we use inquiry with kids at that age?
Yeah, it's really not very complicated with young children because they're naturally curious. But is that, first of all, we model it. Like they may not even know what wondering means. You know, they may ask a question, but we model that. So one thing I do in my classroom is a discussion every day over a photograph that's maybe somehow related to our theme. And I ask them what they see. So that's observation. I ask them what they think, like what are the people doing in this, or what do they think about that picture? And then I ask them to wonder, and there's that curiosity piece. And wondering has to be modeled with young children. So it's a discussion, it's a back and forth discussion with them, and helping them to get to that. Yeah, wondering is something we don't know yet, but maybe we'd like to find out.
You know, and when you get that, I get that question that you just don't know the answer to, don't be afraid to say, I don't know.
Right.
Let's find out. Because so that in that sense, you're modeling the fact that it's okay not to know the answer right now. And here are ways to find an answer. So, you know, I don't know is okay, as long as the next step is let's find out.
I love that. And I loved the approach from a teacher, you know, as a parent and as a mom, one of the ways that I try to help foster those skills is, you know, I've said to friends and family members, I sort of narrate my life a little bit, you know, and it's when my son was younger. And so I will speak out loud and I'll think those things out loud. And sometimes you feel like an idiot, right? Sitting in the car, like narrating your life, but it's good for your kids to hear that. And so I would be driving down the road and I would be like, I wonder why it's so cloudy today. Why, you know, why are there clouds in the sky? Or the opposite of that, I wonder why there's no clouds today. And thinking out loud and sharing those questions with my child, and then asking him, you know, to think about that.
Mhm.
Those are ways that parents really at a young age can model inquiry and thinking and our thought process, because I'll tell you, we as adults, we do that. We wonder naturally, right? We're driving around or out
Mhm.
taking a walk and we start to wonder things like, oh, what's our neighbor doing? But I don't think we often think to verbalize that. And so verbalizing those things to kids, I think helps.
And we
Really?
want to make sure we give parents a pass if it's the 84th time someone has asked you why. Sometimes
Yes.
it's okay to say, I don't know. You know what? I need to take a quiet time and a break to think about that. So, you know, give yourself a break, parents. There's a lot happening right now. So we want you to encourage curiosity, but we also understand that sometimes you just need to take a quiet time.
You just are tired of that 100th why that you just received today. I get that.
Right. Oh, I
Did
was
you have
just going to
something to say? Go
say,
ahead.
Carrie, that sometimes parents feel like, you know, we're the child's personal search engine, and, you know, they ask us why and we just report the answer. So we can get stuck in a rut, you know, answering their questions, like if we don't know, just Googling it. But I think, you know, maybe to have a menu of how do we find the answers to that? Well, maybe it is Googling it, but maybe it's going for a walk and observing things, or maybe it's going to the library and asking the librarian to help us, well, when the library is open, asking the librarian to help us find a book on the subject. And but, you know, to think ahead, because if we are always going to Google, a child's going to grow up thinking that's where all the answers are.
But I love that also. I really love the idea of building sort of this network for your kids of places that they can go to find answers. And that might be people, it might be actual locations, but it doesn't always have to be you, especially when they've asked, you know, it's 7 o'clock at night and it's 78th time they've asked why about something that day. Really kind of guiding them to those places. I love that. So, Joan, you are the producer of Science Trek.
Mhm.
And for the people who are here who may not know, I want to do a couple of things. Tell us a little bit about Science Trek, and then why? What was kind of the reason behind developing Science Trek?
Well, thank you. And thank you for the plug. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Science Trek is Idaho Public Television's kind of project to teach science topics or to engage kids and parents and educators on science topics for K through 6. So just a little bit older than the Eleanor Y. So if you're an Eleanor Y watcher, you'll be moving into Science Trek as you start school. And I started it 22 years ago. We start our new season, our 22nd season on the 1st of September. It's a digital first program, which means our first audience is on the web, because as we know, that's where kids are. They're on the web. And so we launch it there. And then, oh, by the way, it also airs on Idaho Public Television. Now, the website has more than 100 different top science topics, matching the curriculum from the science curriculum, existing science curriculum. Now, of course, the state's looking at changing it, but we'll adapt to that. So it's got that science curriculum. So if there's a science topic your elementary age student is curious about, there's a place they can go. They can go to sciencetrek.org and look at that, and they get a safe, secure, and educationally appropriate range of facts and links and glossaries. There's reading lists, there's games, as well as the videos that we produce. And then each season we add or adapt 9 more topics to that list. And this year we're starting off with what else is viruses. So viruses is our first topic. So you get to learn all about antibodies, and you get to learn all about what a virus is and how tiny they are and why they make you sick and how they operate inside the body. And so it's done in a way, hopefully, that educates and informs, but doesn't scare, because, this is a scary time. So we want to make sure you understand that you have a good immune system, and your immune system is there to protect you and to learn about it. So Science Trek and I started Science Trek 22 years ago because my uncle worked for the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and they had just come out with a report way back when on the kind of sorry state of science education in America. And he said, what can you do? You in the media, what can you do to improve science education? And I was very fortunate that the general manager, Peter Morrill at the time, and Ron Piasneski, who's now our GM, who was the program director, gave me permission to do that. They said, well, yeah, if you can think of something to do it. And so we came up with Science Trek, and it's evolved over the years, and then and to what it is now. And it's more of an international production now. The viewers, at least, we get about 3 to 4 million viewers over a school year. From about 25% are outside the United States. And we have found that those countries where it's being used that don't speak English, as they are using it to learn English because the language level isn't appropriate. But it was designed and is designed for people in Idaho. It's in Idaho. We make it for our citizens, and it's just lucky that it spreads out across the world. But we encourage all of you to give it a try, and to like us on Facebook and on YouTube, and to watch Science Trek.
And the thing, as a teacher, I was an elementary teacher before coming on board at Idaho PTV. The other thing that I really like about Science Trek is that it's got the great teaching resources as well. Yes, and it's aligned to not only the science content standards, which I love, but also there are reading and math content standards that it aligns to as well, which, for that project-based learning and things for teachers, I loved that. So if you haven't checked it out, do that. So I guess the question then is, the kind of the final thing that we'll wrap up with is, how do we make it fun? Because we've talked a little bit about sometimes it's scary and it's intimidating a little bit, and we want to encourage science inquiry. We want to encourage kids to follow their curiosity. In fact, we have Caleb who's watching, and he says that he's following his curiosity so that he can be a scientist.
Yay!
And so, yay, Caleb! You keep doing that. But how do we make that fun for kids and for parents? Do you guys have any suggestions? Grace, why don't you start? Do you have an idea?
Well, I think first of all to relax, like you were talking about earlier, and not think it's this big intimidating thing you don't have to set off a rocket ship to the moon. So just relax and enjoy your kids and that relationship building time with your kids and discussing things, learning about things together, and observing things together. I think that would just bring a lot of joy for both. And reading, I'm always encouraging parents to read, but if they have a spark for something, then follow that. If they have a spark for dinosaurs, don't just decorate their bedroom with dinosaurs. Let's learn about them, learn about their real names, wonder about them. I still wonder about how and why they disappeared. So just relax and enjoy the journey with your kids.
I
They
love
just came
that.
out with a new paper saying that maybe the dinosaurs disappeared because of a giant supernova going off. Just to toss that in there for your
Right.
benefit. I encourage people to, parents to make time for science, and it's a chance to do something with your kids. Get away from the screen. Go take a nature walk and go find. It doesn't have to cost anything. You can just walk outside, get into your park, or if you're lucky enough to be close to a hiking trail or something, get out and take a look and say, okay, this time we're going to look for everything that's brown and talk about it, and just start with that. And then, or, if you're lucky enough to be near something that's, like the Discovery Center here in Boise, or, a museum or a science museum, and almost all the astronomical societies offer opportunities to go look at the stars, look at your local paper and see what activities are. So when you think about what to do with the kids, take the time to make science that base and just go do something fun, because if they can see that science is something people do for a living and it's something that's fun and engaging, they're more likely to think of that as a career path. And I also like to encourage parents, not, even though you may have found science intimidating in high school, the thing to say is, no, don't say that to your kids. I know science is intimidating, but walk in with a fresh attitude and that it's going to be fun and it's going to be exciting, and start with that very basic foundation of curiosity.
I love that. And the producer and the writer of Eleanor Wonders Why said that's actually what sparked this series for him, is that he has a daughter who asks why, and really is a very curious person. And so that's really why this came about, this series that we just watched. I think the sort of final piece is just that we want to let those of you who might be here that are teachers know that. So Eleanor Wonders Why launches September 7th. It premieres on Idaho Public Television's main channel at 10:30. But PBS also will have a variety of teaching resources that are available for this. And I love that about PBS, that they often come out with resources as well. So if you are familiar with PBS Learning Media, that is where you'll want to go if you're a teacher. And what you see on the screen now is that this will also launch September 7th. On Learning Media, you'll find 5 units, complete units that go along with Eleanor Wonders Why, and bilingual units as well for pre-K. And those are the bullet points there. Those are the 5 units that will be accompany Eleanor Wonders Why. So I love that. And again, it says it launches November 7th. And then here's just a couple of things for you to know. There'll be student printables, there'll be lesson plans, which will be digital and printable, and teaching guides, and clips from the episodes, because obviously probably for teaching littles, you're not going to necessarily sit down and watch a 30-minute episode, but there'll be smaller little clips from the episodes, and then a variety of resources to go with it. So if you are looking for teaching resources to really ignite that curiosity, check out PBS Learning Media starting on September 7th. When this airs, and all of this, by the way, is free. PBS Learning Media is a free platform. And so it doesn't cost anything for you to pull these up. And we're very mindful of the fact that a lot of people in the world are virtual right now. So a lot of the resources are virtual, and they don't have to be printable, but they also are. So, so keep that in mind. Well, you guys, I think we're gonna wrap up. I want to thank our panel discussion panel members for coming today, Joan and Grace, and we appreciate you taking the time to be here today. I sort of already said this, but please remember again, the premiere of Eleanor Wonders Why will be on September 7th at 10:30 a.m. So help us spread the word for that. And then following this screener, we will send out an email with links to the things that we've talked about to everybody that registered for the event. We'll have links for the parents and teachers, and there will also be a survey included. We really want to, we're doing these events virtually now, which is new for us as well. So we like your feedback. And so we'll send out a survey, and you can have also a chance, if you take the survey, to win a really cool bag of.
It is. It's cool.
It is cool. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. It's for PBS Kids swag, and there's some Eleanor Wonders Why stuff in there, and just there's a whole bunch of things we've included enough for 8 kids. So please take that survey that comes in that follow-up email, and so that we can send you your swag. And then you guys, we hope you learned something new today. Most importantly, we hope that you had fun. And so please, thank you all for joining us today, and please just continue to follow your curiosity, and thanks for being here.